I used to spend hours on boring, time-consuming tasks at work, often turning down invitations to catch up with colleagues and even having distracted client interactions as a result. But ever since I started incorporating GPT-4 into my workflows and spent time perfecting my prompt engineering, I've transformed boring, time-consuming tasks into quick, enjoyable ones, without compromising on quality and even performing better than ever before, earning me a diagonal promotion at work. This is how I did it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Shane and I'm a doctor, supervisor at Oxford University and manager at a multi-million health tech company. Today I'm going to share with you 3 ways that I use GPT-4 to speed up boring tasks that come my way as an ex-doctor working in health tech. This has given me back somewhere between 5 to 10 hours a week, allowing me to spend time on the things that matter the most, like building human relationships with my colleagues and my clients, whilst also giving me the mental space to strategize and solve more complex problems currently out of AI's reach. The trick here is to get good, and I mean really good, at engineering precise prompts that'll get GPT to generate something that surpasses usable and goes on to excellent. And that's exactly what I'll be helping you with today, by sharing what I do. Anyway, enough hype. Let's get to the delivery. The first group of tasks that I put GPT-4 to work, I call expansion tasks. These refer to tasks where I'm required to expand pieces of text from a few lines into functional prose. Some personal real-world examples include writing one-off emails and reusable templates to communicate service updates with clients, writing step-by-step guides for colleagues and clients, writing marketing content such as newsletters, social media posts, and video scripts. Let's now dive into some of these examples and see how I engineer prompts that get me excellent results. This is not to say that these are the best technical ways to engineer prompts, but these are the perfect balance between the time taken to write them and the quality of output, based on my experience as a relatively switched-on writer and academic working in health tech. As a further disclaimer, the details of the examples used here are fictional, but they are representative of some real-world tasks that I've personally had to do. Working at a dynamic tech company, we often bring out new features, which we then have to communicate to our clients. Pre-AI, I would sit there figuring out the salient points of the new feature and try to write an email that was well formatted in the right tone. That would have probably taken me anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes to complete. But now, I spend no more than 5 minutes on this task. Let's take a fictional Apple-based example. I received this memo from my manager. We're launching a new music streaming service from the 1st of January 2025. I need you to write an email communication to our legacy customers. It'll have a larger music catalog than Spotify and even better sound quality than Tidal. Just generally better, and best is the message we want to communicate. Throw in some free trial and discount options. Thanks. This would be my workflow. I'd open up GPT and type, write a service communication email to our customers, advising them that Apple will be offering their own music streaming service from the 1st of January 2025, as part of our ongoing commitment to providing the best user experience. It'll have a larger music catalog and better sound quality and be better in every way that's important to the customer compared to the competitor streaming services. There'll also be a 3-month free trial and a 50% student discount. To sign up, clients must follow this step-by-step guide. I would then copy a separate internal communication I received about the feature update and paste it into GPT. To sign up, open settings, scroll to find services, then click upcoming, then Apple Music, then sign up, enter your Apple ID password to approve, and pay for the subscription using Apple Pay or other payment method. Then it's complete and you will be notified when Apple Music is live and ready for you to use. Then I click enter and in under 10 seconds, GPT generates this well-worded and well-formatted email that I can use for my clients but also make available for my colleagues, saving all of us a bunch of time. It even gives caveats to make sure that I don't just copy and paste and send without modifying and updating the personalization fields. Now, I may not be entirely happy with this first attempt because it's a bit too long and doesn't sound too enthusiastic. And of course, I want British English spelling. No worries. I can engineer this following prompt to help me fix all of those problems. This is what I would type. Make this shorter, more enthusiastic in tone, and with British English spelling. And voila, it's done exactly everything I wanted, and it's pretty much there. So for emails and guides, I follow these engineering prompt rules. Provide clear and specific instructions of what the email or guide should achieve. This helps the GPT output to be well formatted into the relevant sections. Include sufficient context to allow GPT to elaborate in a targeted direction that's chosen by you, rather than just something that it expects probabilistically based on its training set. Define the sender and recipient so that the direction of flow and formatting follow. At least subtly flag anything you want ordered into a progressive list to ensure that GPT creates a numbered and ordered guide that's concise and clear. Finally, set the desired tone, spelling, and length to save you from manually updating these. Don't worry if the first prompt misses a few of these points. You can always refine it with the follow-up prompts. Now, admittedly, even following all of this may not result in something that's absolutely perfect. Sometimes the GPT does miss the mark a little and takes it too far in one direction or another. For example, when I asked it to be a little bit more enthusiastic, kind of went a bit overboard. The term special launch treats sounds so enthusiastic that is a bit silly. So, it's really important to read through what it's created and weed out any of the undesired phrases, which I personally find is quicker and more reliable to do manually than asking GPT to do it for you. But even after all of this, you still save so much more time than if you were to do it all alone. Let's now go on to a different example. This final example of an expansion task that I outsourced to my AI colleague is content creation. In my personal use case, this tends to be for marketing materials such as newsletters, social media posts, and articles. But it can really be any content creation. When creating content for the company, I'm given at least a vague direction, as well as a few lines per point of what we want to broadcast and upsell. In the past, I would take these few lines and painstakingly carry out more research around it, until I had enough context to write a nice prose. Luckily, those time-sink days are behind me. My new workflow for content creation, let's say for example creating a newsletter, would now involve slacking key leaders within the company, from commercial, operations and product, to find out what we've achieved holistically, what we're most proud of, and what we think would benefit our partners. And then I ask for a few lines of context for each point someone suggests. Let's stick with the Apple example and say that the executive from product sends me this memo. We have a new feature called private mode, which will be available in the iPhone 16, that allows only the owner of the phone to see the phone screen and no one else, even if they're standing beside you. This is achieved through improved Face ID, retinal scanning, and Apple's new patented non-invasive neural interface. I would then take these lines and feed them into ChatGPT with this prompt. Make this sound better for a newsletter going to Apple investors. Hit enter, and this is what we get. A beautiful prose perfectly toned to the target audience. It's even identified core values of Apple as a company through subtle hints that I've engineered into the prompts, as well as its pre-trained knowledge on Apple. I think it's quite remarkable how little prompt engineering is sometimes required for GPT to function so well. That being said, when engineering prompts for content creation, I always do these things. Describe the destination of the content. For example, is it going to be a website article, LinkedIn post, email newsletter, etc. This allows GPT to style its prose expansion to optimally fit the destination, so that it'll have the highest impact. Define the target audience. This allows GPT to be focused in expanding the right things in the right ways to appeal to the target audience. Describe some core values. This makes GPT more deliberate on what it expands and how. Whilst, as we've seen, it functions pretty well without this, it can be quite helpful to mention some core values of the individuals or the company, so that GPT has a more definite direction on where to expand, what rhetoric to form, and how to link progress to values. Now, let's take a look at explain tasks. I'm often tasked with describing and explaining concepts ranging from industries to tools, both to clients and colleagues. Some of these explanations are so nuanced that at present it requires so much additional input from me that it makes more sense for me to just write it myself. However, even for these nuanced tasks, and especially for the more basic explain ones, there's often a requirement to start with a basic overview. In these cases, I can be confident that I can outsource the ask to GPT and it'll give me an off-the-shelf usable result. Let's take this personal real-world example. Earlier this year, I was writing an article about the various high-value exit options for doctors. Numerous industries made the cut, such as management consulting, health tech, investment banking, private equity, and so on. Now, I roughly know what these are, but the target audience would have likely heard of these, but not really have a good overview of every industry. Pre-AI, I would have racked my brain, spending more time than it was likely worth trying to distill the core points to write a few lines myself. Or I might have Googled each industry and copied the top few lines from the corresponding Wikipedia pages. A positively Neanderthal approach compared to what I do right now. Now I would engineer the following prompt. Write a brief overview explaining what management consulting is. It's for a website article aimed at doctors looking to change careers. This was the result. It's pretty good, but it's a bit too long for the article that I'm writing, and contains Americanisms that I'm not about. So I engineered this follow-up prompt. Make this shorter and change to British English spelling. Oh, and Sam Altman, if you're watching, please add an option to change the poor spelling. Anyway, after this prompt, this is what I get. This is much more usable to use at the beginning of each section of the article, and it's hopefully pre-flavored towards doctors. That of course is by no accident or luck, but through deliberate engineering. Which brings me nicely to my prompt engineering rules for explain tasks. Define the scope. This enables GPT to understand the purpose of the text it's producing, allowing it to achieve its function without overstepping or under-delivering. Define the target audience. This allows GPT to be focused on what to elaborate and what to highlight to catch the attention of the audience through targeted relevance. And finally, define the destination. This enables GPT to stylize the text to fit the destination perfectly. For example, if I asked for this to be changed to a style of a LinkedIn post, this is what I would have got. It's completely transformed in style, tone, and appearance to fit what's typical for LinkedIn, complete with emojis and relevant hashtags. Gone are the days of manually repurposing content, SEO optimization, and hashtag research. Now, onto the final way that I personally use AI to speed up boring tasks at work. Summarization. Frequently, I get handed extremely long, very dry articles ranging from funding policy to guidelines, and I'm asked to summarize and draw up the key points. And in some cases, I'm even asked to go a step further and gather more information on the points that matter the most, or write my own take on the article. To tell you the truth, as an academic, this is something I've been doing for over a decade. And so you would probably expect that I'm a seasoned pro who can tackle something like this in mere minutes. But to tell you the truth, this is still one of the most time-consuming and boring tasks, especially when these long articles don't come with the key points or summary section. In the past, you would have found me sat there reading these very dry articles, trying to engage my brain to sieve through the fluff and identify the pertinent points. Many laborious hours later, I would eventually succeed, but at what cost? Those times are thankfully over. This is my new workflow, and this is the prompt I engineer. Summarize this article and extract the key points. Beautifully simple. Then I read the short summary generated by my GPT friend, highlighting the points that are most relevant to my overall goal. Then, once I've honed in on the most relevant points, I actually go back to the original article myself and read just those sections to help me flesh out the points that I'm interested in. I sometimes even re-recruit my GPT-4 friend to help with this, but having read the source myself, I act as a moderator to ensure that GPT isn't fleshing out anything with fiction. I'll give an example of this end-to-end process in the article below. Let's now look at some caveats to everything I've spoken about, ending with how I see the relationship between AI and man in the workplace. The first caveat to mention here is that my company has an enterprise subscription to OpenAI's GPT-4, meaning that all of our queries and commercially sensitive information is locked in internally and not fed back to OpenAI for its training. This allows our commercially sensitive information to remain protected. So take this into consideration before you start using GPT for work and get into trouble. Next, GPT can hallucinate, meaning that it's capable of generating things that sound like real facts and information, when in fact it's pure fiction. If you ever ask GPT to carry out a task that requires it to source its own facts, such as explanation or information gathering tasks, it's a good idea to ask it to stay basic. Because unfortunately, the details may include fabricated information, which could be quite embarrassing if it's picked up. This is why I don't use GPT for complex, high-stakes information gathering tasks. Let's say I'm on shift working as a doctor and a patient comes in with a heart attack. I wouldn't be rushing to ChatGPT and typing, "What's the most up-to-date management for myocardial infarction in the UK?" Why? because the ask is complex and nuanced. And most importantly, the stakes are someone's life. Far too high to risk using information that could be hallucinated. Instead, I open up the hospital guidelines or the electronic patient record, find the power plan for myocardial infarction, use my decade of medical knowledge and clinical experience to choose the best management plan for the patient. So yes, ChatGPT speeds up boring, time-consuming tasks, but it's not quite there to speed up high-stakes, nuanced tasks faced by some professionals. Finally, the biggest caveat is actually you and I. As we have seen, we can use AI to create some powerful content to inform, explain, and summarize basic to even complex ideas with minimal human input. Now this has created a lot of existential worry, but the way I see it, this is where we have an opportunity to really thrive. What GPT produces is often a good enough off-the-shelf result. The value we as experienced workers and humans provide is knowing what's good output, what's bad output, what's missing, and what just doesn't need to be there. Then using this information to modify the content to perfectly fit the purpose, tone, and audience of the content. Here's an example. My first draft of the next line in this script was this. So no, I don't use AI to replace my skills at work. I instead use it to give me content that's at a stage where I can use my true skills to create an output that's even better than what I alone or what AI alone could create. In essence, a perfect synergy. I then asked GPT-4 to make it sound better, and it did. Certainly, here's a refined version of your YouTube video script. So do I rely on AI to take over my role at work? Absolutely not. Instead, I harness its capabilities to generate preliminary content, setting the stage for my genuine expertise to shine. By doing so, I elevate the output to a level neither I nor AI could achieve independently. It's about creating a perfect synergy where my skills and artificial intelligence complement each other, leading to unparalleled results. There's elements I like about this, and elements that I don't. For example, the general tone sounds a bit more formal than my style. So I asked it to make it a bit more relaxed using this prompt. Make this less formal, and this is what it gave me. Sure thing, here's a more relaxed version for your YouTube script. So, do I let AI do my job? Nope. What I do is team up with it. AI gets the ball rolling, giving me something to work with. Then I jump in with my real skills, spicing things up to make the final outcome way cooler than what either of us could have done on our own. It's like the ultimate team up, where my expertise and AI smarts come together for some seriously awesome results. It's closer-ish to my tone, I guess, but actually some elements have been taken far towards cool and breezy. So for the final script, I merged all three of these versions together and created this. So no, I don't use AI to replace my skills at work. Instead, I harness its capabilities to get the ball rolling, setting the stage for my genuine expertise to shine. Doing this elevates that output to a level that I nor AI could have achieved independently. In essence, a perfect synergy. It doesn't get more real than this to prove my point. Our value comes in being humans trying to communicate with other humans. Now, if you have any suggestions for engineering prompts that I might have missed or even got wrong, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to refine my practice along with everyone else watching. And finally, if you'd like to find out more about my day-to-day at work, then you might like to watch this video. Or if you'd like to watch a video that's been handpicked by our AI helpers, then click here. But that's it from me for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.